Good evening from the Channel's newsroom in London. There's been a big day in British politics amid the Brexit crisis. Parliament has now been suspended for 5 weeks, which means lawmakers won't sit again until the middle of October, giving them just 2 weeks to debate matters before the Brexit deadline.
I think it's disgraceful. Parliament should be sitting and Parliament should be holding the government to account. And the Prime Minister appears to be wanting to run away from questions. He was appointed Prime Minister at the end of July. He's faced one Prime Minister's question time, and now he's proroguing Parliament so there will not be a PMQs this Wednesday.
Brexit now!
The Prime Minister has promised to leave the European Union by the end of next month, with or without a deal. But a new law has now been passed forcing Boris Johnson to seek another delay to prevent the country from crashing out of the EU.
It provides time to go into court if the government doesn't do what's required in order to get the court to order the government to do so. Because we're dealing with a Prime Minister here who is going around the country saying, well, I may not do what the law requires. Now, there's only one other way of squaring that circle, and that would be for the Prime Minister to resign.
Michel Barnier has been here last night.
Speaking in Dublin, Boris Johnson said he believes a deal can be done by October the 18th. His Irish counterpart, Leo Varadkar, says it all centres on the country's border with Northern Ireland.
In the absence of agreed alternative arrangements, no backstop is no deal for us. All it does is kick the can down the road for another 14 months. We must protect the peace and also the burgeoning all-island economy. And that's why for us the backstop continues to be a critical component of the withdrawal agreement unless and until alternatives are found. But we are open to alternatives, but they must be realistic ones, legally binding and workable. And we haven't received such proposals to date.
I want to get a deal. Like you, I've looked carefully at no deal. I've assessed its consequences both for our country and yours. And yes, of course, we could do it. The UK could certainly get through it. But be in no doubt, that outcome would be a failure of statecraft for which we would all be responsible. Of course, we must get Brexit done, because the UK must come out on October the 31st, by October the 31st, or else I fear that permanent damage will be done in the UK to trust in our democratic system.
Tens of thousands of British Airways passengers have been affected by the biggest walkout in the airline's 100-year history. 1,700 flights were grounded as pilots began a 2-day strike over pay and conditions. BA says the majority of its pilots accepted an 11.5% pay rise offer over 3 years, but the union wants the deal to include profit sharing. The airline rejected the idea, describing it as an 11th-hour inflated proposal.
I'm really sorry that the cynical actions of the pilots' union have put us in this position. Is by all accounts an own goal. It's going to punish customers, it's going to punish our brand.
Officials in the Bahamas have defended their response to Hurricane Dorian. At least 43 people were killed when the Category 5 storm smashed through the area last week. Residents on the Abaco Islands are accusing the government of failing to provide assistance and preventing looting. Hundreds, possibly thousands of people are still missing. The United Nations observed a minute's silence at the opening of the Human Rights Council in Geneva to remember the victims of the disaster. Robert Mugabe's nephew says the former Zimbabwean leader died a very bitter man. Leo Mugabe says his uncle found it difficult to accept that people he trusted had turned against him. A row is brewing over where the former president should be buried. A state funeral at the National Sports Stadium is being planned for Saturday.
He was bitter. He was bitter. You know, you can expect, you can imagine people that you trusted, people that were guarding you, people that were looking after your security are the same people that, you know, turn against you.
And finally, some hope for millions of people suffering from Parkinson's disease and essential tremor. The conditions can cause hands to shake so severely that everyday tasks become difficult and impossible. But now gloves with built-in spinning gyroscopes have been developed, and trials show that they help counteract tremors.
I can't cut my nails, I can't cut my toenails. There's all sorts of things that I can't do, but these are going to enable me to do a bit more, keep more of my independence instead of losing it day by day.
And that's your international news around the world in 5.